When someone you love needs more care than you could provide, a skilled nursing facility may be the safest and most supportive thing for them. This is often a difficult decision. Old myths about what was once called nursing homes persist. An older person may be reluctant to admit that this kind of care is what they need, and you may be unsure of how to look for the right place, how to broach the subject with them, or how to respond to their worries. The good news is that today's skilled care facilities offer a variety of accommodations, amenities, programs, and activities. Their residents are engaged and involved. With us today to talk about today's skilled nursing facilities are two professionals from Caleb Hitchcock Health Center at Duncaster, Elizabeth Rios, Director of Admissions and a former nurse, and Sara Janowski, a licensed clinical social worker at Duncaster. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Sara. So I want to start off with, let's talk about the old school myth of what a nursing home is. How are things different?
Well, I think the biggest thing right now is there's a huge push for person-centered care. And what is that? It's really taking the person or your loved one and getting to know them, know their wants, their needs, their desires. And it's a nursing approach where you kind of build their plan of care around that individual.
So these are the professionals at a skilled care facility that practices this. That's a philosophy? Is that a best way to say it?
Correct.
Okay.
Where you had, your old school nursing homes where you would take your resident and they would fit into the facility's routine.
Okay.
Everybody would be up at 9 a.m. Everyone would be up and dressed and in that dining room. You went to bed at a certain time, and that's just how it was. Where now we really get, to know the person. Maybe this is somebody who never, got dressed before breakfast and didn't eat breakfast till 10 o'clock. Well, now we're going to make that happen.
I see.
You don't have to, all do everything uniformly.
Sara, tell us a little bit about the difference between skilled care, independent living. I think there's a lot of terms out there that people just don't know where to start.
Well, I would say there are three levels of care. There's independent living when you're in your own home, doing your cooking, your cleaning, taking care of yourself. That being stated, there is now a push for people to have more care within their homes. So you can now hire help to come in. You can have certified nursing assistants come in to help shower you, bathe you, dress, possibly help with medications, maybe setting up a medication box so you will know when to take your medications, and sometimes helping with cleaning and food preparation, which can happen in the home. There's also a trend that people like to live amongst others in their same situation. So assisted livings are incredibly popular because of that. Assisted livings are more apartment-style homes where people move into an apartment, but all of their needs are being met within that apartment.
Okay.
So there's staff to provide dressing and undressing, bathing, meal preparation, medication assistance. But there's also an emphasis on life enrichment. So within those communities, people learn to get to know each other more and have more of a social experience.
Okay.
And not as isolated as they might be in their homes. And then there's the skilled nursing side. This comes into play when people have more complex health conditions where they need 24-hour nursing and assistance. More medical needs, complex medical needs need to be addressed.
Okay, and you brought up a really interesting topic is, I think there's a tendency to say, well, I'll just have mom stay at home and we'll just bring people in. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges of that.
Well, I think it really depends on the individual. So, if you have a loved one who needs, minimal assistance and maybe needs help getting dressed in the morning and maybe at night, keeping them in the home is ideal. But when you start looking at, somebody who may have difficulty, walking or getting in and out of a bed, or, they maybe don't have the capacity to make decisions anymore.
Okay.
That's when you want to start looking at other areas. Is your house, equipped to have a caregiver come in for 24 hours? Do you have the equipment you might need? What kind of, level of assistance does your loved one need? Can they use one person or do they need two people? Those things you need to look at because maybe your home isn't the best place anymore.
So we've all seen the old movies. We've all heard the line about, I promised Dad I would never put him in a nursing home. That's, so made that promise, how do I then, when I realize as a caregiver, I can't do this anymore, how do I broach that subject?
I think it's important as a caregiver that you understand that your role is changing with your parents and your loved one.
Okay.
There was a time when our parents took care of us, but now it is our responsibility to make sure that they're safe. And I think safety is what needs to be looked at to determine if one can remain in their home or if there needs to be a change. So it's important for the caregiver or parent or child to understand that mom and dad might not want to move now, but it is now my role to make sure that they are safe and taken care of.
That's a difficult conversation to have, though.
It is, and it's important to have that. It's important to have that conversation earlier on with your parents, saying, you know, I noticed that things are beginning to change, and I want to let you know that I'm going to be here for you, and just like you helped me grow up, I want to help you through this time of your life.
Wow. I have a lot of friends that get to the point where they say, I can't do this anymore. Talk about caregiver burnout, because I think it's something that none of us want to admit, but it happens.
Right. It's very rewarding to be able to take care of a loved one, but it's also very stressful. It's demanding. It takes a toll on you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and it's a real problem. It exists, and a lot of, like you said, there's guilt. I'm gonna keep them home as long as I can, and I don't care if I, am not taking care of myself. But there comes a time where you're just exhausted, and that's when you know that there has to be a change. You're only one person, and maybe mom and dad need more than just what you can offer them.
Okay.
And how can you possibly take good care of them when you're so stressed out and tired?
So, when do you have this? You mentioned this earlier, Sarah. When should you start looking at those options? I mean, if you've gotten to that point, you're kind of stuck with whatever's out there. When do you start looking?
I think it's very important to start looking very on. Before your parents or loved one needs the help, I think it's important to talk to your parents about things that could happen in the future and come up with a plan when your parent or loved one can still be part of that decision making.
Okay.
And regarding going to look at different places, a lot of skilled nursing facilities and assisted livings have long wait lists. So you want to go with your loved one so they can make a conscious decision about the place that they like. And then you get your name on the list early. So when a place comes up or a spot is opened, you have the ability to say, it's not the time right now, but keep me on your list.
Oh, you can
and
do
then
that.
you're considerably then the next person on the list.
Okay.
And you can say, now is the time, giving your loved one more options.
So how do you compare facilities? I mean, most of us are only going to shop for this once or twice in our whole lives. What do they look for?
The first thing, people are looking for is the obvious stuff. How are these facilities rated? How is their staffing ratio? How, what does their surveys look like? And all of that,
find that,
you
right?
can find all of that
Yeah.
on the internet.
Right.
So I always, suggest find several facilities that you are interested in.
Okay.
And then make appointments and go in. Because it's huge to be able to go into that facility, and you want to, kind of be aware. How does the staff look? Do they look happy? How do your residents look? Are they happy and are they engaged?
Okay.
And you're going to get a gut feeling of, this place seems, pleasant. But I also think it's a good idea to ask for family references. Find somebody who, they will find somebody who you could speak to about their experience with their loved one.
Okay.
We use references for everything else. Why couldn't we for this big decision too?
Interesting. So you've decided this might be coming, and you're the caregiver. How do you begin that conversation? Are there other people involved that you can sort of bring into that conversation?
I think it's important to involve the primary care physician. They know
Okay.
the physical parts of your loved one and where some medical need might be necessary for them to maybe choose a different level of care. I also think it's important to involve any family member or friend who your loved one understands, your loved one agrees with, your loved one
Oh, that's a good
feels
idea.
comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to pressure your loved one or family member to
That's what I
move.
think we all fear, is feeling like we're pressuring them.
And to have other people's opinion to be given at that time, and
Okay.
for it not only to be on the loved one is important. And it's one of the reasons we often refer to the doctor, because it's easier for the doctor to give that bad news than your daughter, who you love so much that you don't want her to think that you're not doing well.
If you're taking care of a parent, what are the signs that this should be the right choice for them sooner rather than later?
Well, there's a couple things. First, you want to look at them physically. Again, are they able to walk by themselves? Are they able to get themselves dressed and, go to the bathroom maybe by themselves? Do they need help? How much help do they need? You want to look at them, emotionally. Are they isolated at home? Are they just sitting at home doing nothing and there's no interactions with anyone? And then you want to look cognitively. Are they safe? Are they able to navigate their world safely? And if not, what could be done about it? Can you manage it, or is it time to have other people come in?
Wow. So you brought this up. Let's look at it a little deeper. What happens when they push back? A parent says, I changed your diaper. I don't need you to tell me what to do.
One of the reasons to have the conversation with your parents and loved one before there is any situation is because it gives your parent and loved one the time to talk about how they would want their care to look.
Okay.
So if you're concerned that maybe you're worried about dementia in the future for your parent, it's important to say, Mom, Dad, if you ever are in this situation, how would you like your care to look? Would you like help in your home? Would you like to look at some of the assisted livings that are in the area that might be helpful for you? It gives your parents the opportunity to be involved in their care if we involve them early before a situation exists.
You had situations where the adult child had to basically say, I understand this is not what you want, Dad, but it's what we need to do?
Absolutely. I've had many family members in my office, and that's exactly the situation where, Mom and Dad are adamant about staying where they are, but, the family knows it's time. And it's difficult. It's difficult to have them in your office and kind of look at you just not knowing what to do. And again, they're going to ask the obvious questions. What's your facility like? What's the staffing like? Is Mom and Dad going to be okay? But I think the biggest thing that you could start building right from the get-go is trust. If they have a sense of trust that this facility or this caregivers are going to be able to take care of Mom and Dad, it just helps ease that transition so much more. Being honest, I've always tried to be very honest and open about what it's going to look like. And it may be difficult in the beginning, but Mom and Dad are going to be okay.
So what are some of the other questions that you find yourself face-to-face with every day with caregivers?
One of the biggest ones is, would you put your loved one here? If Mom and Dad needed to come, would you put your trust in?
That's interesting.
Right. Will Mom and, have you been in a situation where families didn't wanted to and Mom and Dad didn't? How did that turn out? Was there a big, where Mom and Dad didn't do well? So they kind of look at situations and want to know. But the biggest one is, would you do it?
That's interesting. So what do you say?
I say absolutely. Absolutely. I am a nurse, so I do understand that, there will maybe a time. I've actually made a promise. Hey, Dad, I'll probably take care of you. But, we joke around about that. But when it comes to safety and well-being, it's obvious what might need to be done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Well, I want to thank both of you. This has been really interesting. I've learned a lot. I hope our viewers have learned a lot. And I want to thank you for joining us today to help us learn about skilled nursing care. I hope you've enjoyed this segment of Health for All from Duncaster. And if you have any questions, please contact Elizabeth Rios at Caleb Hitchcock at Duncaster. And thanks for joining us today at Health for All from Duncaster.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.